KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're the Real Estate Rat Pack. Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack!
Well, it's just not.
I didn't even warn. Yeah,
Yeehaw!
I didn't even.
Wait, I need to go. Teresa Kennedy hanging in for Chris Kelso.
Oh, wow.
How's that sound, boys?
I like it.
Well, Chris, if you're out there listening, we're thinking
You're fired.
about you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious!
Yes,
I think I'm a little easier on the eyes. Than
We
you,
are,
Chris.
yes,
No.
there's no doubt about that. We are sans Chris Kelso today, and he's out with his family in Disney World enjoying himself, so I hope you're having a good time.
He's taking some of his top clients on a business trip.
There you go. There you go.
I think he's escaping today. So, welcome, Teresa. We're so happy to have you. This is the fourth time that Teresa has been on the show. She's been on the show 3 times as a guest.
Yes.
And now she's our co-host.
And now I'm the co-host. Thank you, Rob and Joe and Chris, for having me as a co-host. We have a lot of fun, so
we made at least 2 people snort coffee through their nose last time we were here.
We're all snort lovers over here, right?
Yes, exactly.
We should actually do one for Chris. Give him a shout out. Ready? 3, 2, 1. We love you, Chris.
We know where this show is going. It's down, down, down. So we got a good show today.
I think we have a very unique show. It's something we've never done. We have the Rat Pack has a special place in its heart for charities, and we have on a number of occasions.
Which is why I'm on.
Yeah,
I'm their charity
case. Living proof right here. We have on many occasions had different charity organizations on and given them some time to promote their charity and that sort of thing. And just a couple days ago, I had a great conversation with someone, and there was a lot of synergy in the conversation about things that I'm passionate about, and that was part of that conversation was about charities, and the other part of that was about children and breaking poverty cycles. And I said, this is something that needs to get some press and some exposure. And then I thought, we have a lot of amazing people right around us that do a lot of stuff behind the scenes that rarely get the press they deserve. And what a great topic for a show. So today is Rebels with a Cause.
Yes.
So we have some wonderful folks on today, and we're going to be discussing charities right here in Houston, and the folks that are working with those charities to make a difference in our local communities here in the lives. And Rob is technically not a host today.
I'm kind of technically a guest as well.
You are our guest as well. That's right.
We wear a lot of hats here, but and again, we're not really leaving the real estate realm because the people that we have here today are also very, very connected into the community.
Absolutely.
So
great point.
It's almost like there was a theme.
And
that we thought this through.
They actually do use their brains.
It's on occasion.
So we have Teresa.
Yes.
You want to introduce our next guest?
Yes. We have
Put her on the spot.
Mr. Richard Alperti.
Alaperti?
Is
that right?
Alperti.
That's close enough.
With Keller Williams, another fellow Keller William. Is that a
Keller
word?
William?
Memorial Office.
It depends on how many
Wilmian?
N's you put in there.
There you go,
That's
Keller
close,
William.
yes. Yes.
I make my own language up. So tell us about little bit about yourself and what it is that you hold dear to your heart as far as charities go, and give us a little insight on that.
Okay. Well, I've been in Houston about 34 years, and about 25 years ago, I came back from a missions trip to Guatemala and found out that there was a lot of things going on in the world that I didn't know about. And I was exposed to it when I went there. And I came back and I said, I want to do something here in my own city without traveling thousands of miles and spending thousands of dollars to get there and back, that I can make a difference. So when I came back, I talked to a pastor at my church, and I said, I want to do something here. And we started talking about it. And about a month later, we decided that a good thing to do would be to help kids in low-income apartment that was right across the street from my church. And that apartment complex, the name of it was Cornerstone Chase Apartments. And that's on Long Point Drive right at Oak Tree. And with that, I said, well, I'm going to need some help. And he said, well, you can, gather some help from the people that you know to actually help you with the volunteer part of it. And when I did that, it was singles that were helping nobody who was married. So it was kind of like a singles program. And when we got started, the apartment had a lot of negative things going on over there, like drugs, and they were actually killing people in the apartment. Oh. And that's where we started the ministry. I went over and talked to the manager and said, hey, here's what we want to do to help the kids here, teach them about God and also about doing better in school, and we were going to actually tutor them. So they said, okay, well, you want an apartment? And I said, well, yeah, if you want to give us one. So they gave us an apartment, paid all the utilities on it, and that's where we started.
Oh, that's wow. Amazing. So you formed a ministry for children, mm-hmm. especially in the low income housing. Is it what areas do you cover? Because that's a great charity to start up, especially for children.
Right.
And, do you cover just the Houston area, Conroe? Like, how far do you reach out?
Right. Right now, it's just Spring Branch. We have 17 apartments that we actually draw kids from. And we go to the apartment complex, talk to the management, and say, hey, is it okay if we do this? What we have found is that when the kids go through our program, they're not getting involved in the negative things that normally happen in these low-income apartments, like the drug situation, the gang situation, the teenage pregnancy, and vandalism to not only the apartment complex, but to the cars that are there. They totally change that, and they have an upward mobility of the next level up for where they want to go because of us instilling in them and inspiring them to the next level of secondary education.
I was going to say the cycle of poverty is a really difficult cycle to break. Talk about some of the success stories that you've experienced.
Well, we have one of the kids went through the program that was heading the wrong way, a girl, and after going through our program, she went to college, got a 4-year degree, married someone who had a 4-year degree, and they have 3 kids. They live in Katy, and they bought a house. So moving out of the low-income apartment to owning a house in Katy, and now she comes back every week and volunteers, brings her kids, and her kids are the best kids we've got. So that thing actually happened with her to make that happen. And she's part of the Hope and Future program, which is totally designed to help the kids get to the secondary education through their 12th year, coming to the program and actually getting exposure to what college life is all about, because we actually take them to the campus. They can actually shadow some of the people that are in the field that they want to go into. And they have classes that teach them how to get the highest grade that they can get on the ACT and the SAT also for the entrance exams to get into the colleges. Plus, if they get complete certain items in that Hope and Future program, they actually get a scholarship from our organization, Cornerstone Family Ministries, that helps them to go to college.
How do you fund that? I think there'd be a lot of needs and to raise funds and keep that going. How do you do that?
Well, when I
copy you.
Right.
Yeah.
When I started it was just me putting money out of my pocket, and then some of the volunteers put money in, and it gradually grew to the point where right now there's over 20 churches that provide funding for it. And the last fundraiser that we had back in the fall, we had over 500 people there from the community, both business owners as well as individuals, the volunteers like myself, and the people from the churches. And that provides the funding for the program that is now $435,000 a year. We have 3 buses and 2 15-passenger vans that we go around and pick up the kids.
And
we don't even have to tell them anymore. They're waiting there for us when we pick them up because it's a fun thing for them to come to, and they actually see consistency in their life that they don't see maybe at home or the normal atmosphere that they are living in.
Of course, we can always show up, Joe, and say,
Yeah.
if you don't follow this program, this is what you're going to turn out like.
Right.
Yeah. Radio show host somewhere.
Exactly.
It's just amazing how God, has a plan for all of us, and especially in hearing your story, how you started something like that, especially for the kids. I mean, kids have a huge spot in my heart, and to create something like that, it's just like God put that there. You probably had no idea. You saw a cause and a need, and He showered you with the blessings to be able to make something so great for all the children, and that's amazing.
Right. And the changes have not only happened with the kids, but it's happened with our heart as well, as far as giving is concerned. And a lot of the volunteers, like we just had our volunteer appreciation at the end of every school year. We do that. We have a big dinner where they get together and they get up and talk about what happened in their life. And some of them, it was just one of the mom or the dad came as a volunteer, and next thing you know, they're bringing the whole family. So the kids get to experience giving back as well and starting that volunteerism at a young age, which is amazing to see that
It's amazing when people
happen.
can identify a purpose, how they actually get polarized around that purpose, and it becomes part of it, as it did for you.
Yes,
I think that's
exactly.
just an amazing thing. What about the growth of that ministry? Before the show, we were talking about that some people have taken the idea that they want to take it to other cities. Talk about that a little bit.
Right. The expansion of this, there was a guy who came through the program as a volunteer when it originally started 25 years ago. And he called me up a year ago, and I'd lost contact with him for close to 20 years. And he said that he wanted to, when he retires from the Navy, be able to get in his motorhome and travel around the country and promote this in areas all over the country where we can work on the stopping of the poverty all over the country, because this program definitely works. The volunteer base comes from the local churches. The local churches also help to provide some of the money as well as the volunteers, and then the local businesses actually provide money to help the program continue as well.
I want to jump back kind of to something y'all were just touching on. There's a biblical principle that God has given us in Scripture that is, I heard taught once about how life and fruitfulness is meant to come out of us. And there's the example of two very famous, very discussed seas or bodies of water in Scripture. One of them is the Dead Sea, and one of them is the Sea of Galilee. And they're both fed by the same river.
Yes.
There's only one major difference between the two of them. The Dead Sea, which has no life whatsoever, can sustain no life. The Sea of Galilee, which feeds millions of people, even to this day, are both fed by the Jordan.
Yes.
And the difference is that the Galilee flows out and feeds the Dead Sea, and the Dead Sea has no river that flows out of it. We were intended to have this abundant life, and how that is done is by having an outflow from us. We were meant to serve. So if you spend a lot of time talking to people about why they're pursuing the things that they're pursuing in life, ultimately it comes down to have a sense of fulfillment and happiness. And you can eliminate a lot of the stuff you're doing and focus on some very simple things and experience that fulfillment. And one of those things is being involved in charity and seeing change for the better in other people's lives and being a part of that.
Yes.
Well, we're getting pretty close to a break here.
Which leads me up to which I was going to say. Which leads me up to the last point here, since we're down to a break here. Is if someone wanted to get involved with your organization and participate, do you have any means, first of all, for them to participate on a small scale, or just to come in and volunteer for a weekend or a couple weekends, that kind of thing? And if so, how do people reach out to you?
Right. Well, they can either call me or they can get online and check out the ministry at cfmhouston.org, or they can call me, Richard Alaperti, at 281-236-9721.
Very good, very good. Well, we hear the music playing, So it means we're up against the break. We've got to let our sponsors have a couple minutes, and we will be right back with our next guest, I believe, Mr. Jason Jimenez.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we're back.
I think
we're live.
I think Ashley likes to do that to
We're
trick us.
back.
We're in the middle of conversation in the break and things like that. I think Ashley's thinking, I'll switch those mics on just when they least expect it.
What was it last time?
You know, after all, she has
they
to have
had it
fun
on
too,
and
right?
You guys were like
No warning.
being silly.
Mike life. I think she
Oh, my
tries to
word.
say it just as quickly as possible and
Yeah.
somewhat under her breath. Just
Mike's on. You know, this guy next to me kind of looks familiar. I think he's been here a couple of times before.
I think he's been here a couple of times. You know, we have one of our fantastic sponsors who has been with us since almost the very beginning of the show. I think it was only a couple
2 weeks in.
Yeah, I think a couple 2-3 weeks in, and Jason jumped on as a sponsor of the show. So we definitely want to give you some awesome press on that for having been a supporter of our show and
and
our
give him
efforts.
an award of the year for hanging
Yes,
in with you
for
guys
hanging-
for so
for
long.
putting up with us for
Yes,
this long.
and
Can you believe there's
Just
anyone
got a
out there that would
high
actually
five.
sponsor this kind of lunacy?
I know.
And Teresa, your award's
He
in the mail, by the way.
literally- He literally, well, no, okay, he's shaved his head, but I was going to say he's lost all of his hair.
Yeah, yeah,
because of
on
you
purpose.
guys.
yes. So you first of all tell us just shameless plug for your company, and we want to make sure as a sponsor you get that special love on that. But then we brought you here to talk about a charity as well. So give us a little how do you do there from the company.
Sure. Well, I am a second-generation insurance firm. My father started the business about 33 years ago. I started with him when I was 15. He did something at the age of 19 that changed my life. We went to an appointment. He told me to go to be ready in a suit and tie on a specific day, be downstairs. I showed up. I asked him where we're going. He said, shut up, listen, and learn. And the next thing you know, we go to a house, knock on the door, a woman walks out, and she starts embracing him. And I told my dad, being the smart, sensitive person I am, I said, Dad, if this is your way of saying that we have another family, it's not really cool. He looks at me and points and puts 3 fingers up, and he says, shut up, listen, and learn.
Yeah.
So we walk in, and that's when my life changed. She sat down, and she uncontrollably started crying.
Man.
And my father was there to deliver a life insurance check. And that life insurance check showed me that what I thought he did for a living was really not. And so that's when I realized that it wasn't about selling insurance, owning your own business, making good money. If you wanted to make unlimited, it's really up to you. It was really being there for another human being when they really needed you. And so my principle at the age of 21, I started my own firm, and I've been doing it for going on 15 years this November. And that's how I got it.
I'd be willing to bet that same story has a lot to do with why you're here today.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Absolutely. If it's one thing that I've learned is that, there's always a why in business. There's a why as a human being, and you kind of touched on it earlier.
There has to be.
There's
if there's
a why.
not, you won't have the fuel and the energy it takes to build a business.
Absolutely. So my why as a human being is simply put as I want this world to be a better place by the time that I leave it, and within that, I want to be able to inject the opportunities for people to be able to grow as a human being and have the impact when it's possible. So that's who we are.
So, well, talk about the charity that you have this passion about.
Yeah. So I should say I got involved with Fanatical Change in the later part of 2010. Fanaticalchange.org is basically a group of individuals that all we do is raise as much money as we can, and we can go completely broke the very next day.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I'm in real estate.
Done on purpose.
Baby, we're apparently running a charity. I had no idea. She's just called it shopping all this time.
There you go, right?
Yeah. Okay, Rob, you can put your cup away. Taking donations.
Right. So what we do is we, as an organization, we once or twice a year what we do is we put together an event, Party with the Cause, right? And we get as much of the actual party to be donated, and whatever's not donated, then either myself, Stephen Kaufman, or some other individual volunteers, we actually put it out of our pocket to make it happen.
Wow.
And all we do is raise as much money as possible. Now, the theme of the whole process of what we do is 7 days before the event, we actively work with the Houston Police Department, with the local news stations, to find a family that has actually experienced a tragic event. It could be a hate crime. It could be a murder. It could be if somebody had a fire, car accident, you name it. We've seen it all. And so what we do is we work with them to verify that there wasn't any criminal or negative activity that brought that on. And then at that point in time, we just basically host a party in their name. And at the event, we raise as much money as we possibly can. The very next morning at probably between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning, volunteers, sponsors, or anybody who wants to be involved, we pretty much just have a huge debate upon which families deserve the money the most.
That's
because
a tough decision.
It's
Because there's
very
a lot
tough.
of deserving families out there.
Yeah.
People
Absolutely. And how do you choose, right? And mind you, we have a committee that specifically looks for these individual families to find out what happened, what the story is, and it's their job to convince the rest of the volunteers, how do we allocate that money? So on average, we raise between $50,000 to $60,000 on a specific night, let's say as an example. Well, how do you divvy that up? And so what we've been able to do is we then work with the police departments, we work with the families, and not everybody needs $10,000. Sometimes they just need $1,000. Sometimes they just don't even need money. They just need someone to be there for them. So we put together, whether it be human capital, monetary means that give them a chance to make an impact. And it goes back to the word fanatical. The fanatical change is because the only way it really can make an impact on a human being is when it just now happened. And the reality is they didn't even realize that there was the local community, Houston, came together to help them out.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part.
Pay it forward.
People in
Completely.
crisis.
Yeah.
People
Completely.
in crisis.
Yeah.
That happens to a lot of people.
And I tell you, the first time that I got involved, it was such a change for me, another pivotal point in my life, because seeing a family walking into a home, and the first time I went to a house. You have a woman who lost all of her 3 kids in a car accident. They were on their way to school, and they basically they got into a car accident. And for me to be able to go in there and talk to them, and for her to not be able to stand up because she was so taken back on the fact that she didn't realize that human beings in Houston, the local community, really cared. And that's what changed it for me. Honestly.
We're
all day long.
losing
You're
Teresa
about to
over
make
there.
me cry right now. It's
that
I couldn't imagine.
And everything we do is transparent. No one makes money. We don't pay anybody. It's 100% volunteer, and all we do is we are pass through. Money raised, money given out. Now, the one thing that you do have to be aware of is that we also film everything. So you can go to fanaticalchange.org.
Oh, awesome.
You can see every video of every family that we've ever helped,
That's
and we will
awesome.
make sure that
We would film
we know where it
everything, but
goes.
we don't want it to be used against us.
If ever I get mad at you or Joe or Chris.
And see, this goes to right there, all the impact. Just telling the story and watching the impact. Teresa's on the far end from me, so I'm watching her over here. This is the reaction
Well,
she was
Teresa
having to
has
this.
3 kids. When he said
I
3
do.
kids, I'm
Yeah.
sure
I
that
have
started resonating with
3
you.
gorgeous
Absolutely.
little boys. I just, I actually had a little brother die of cancer whenever he was 5 and I was 9, and we were living in Lufkin, Texas, and they life flighted him into MD Anderson. That's where he would go to get his chemo treatments, and we used to draw straws, to see who would get to skip school and go with my mom to take him for his chemo treatment for the day. And the night that he passed away, they life flighted him in, and my dad made a good living, but he couldn't afford that bill for the life flight, and our church got together and raised enough money to pay for that.
Absolutely.
And
That's
so,
awesome.
I'm a child of the kind of, what you're talking about, where a community comes together and they help a family in need. And it really, I think, has impacted who I am as a human being as well, because
It forms us.
I just, love helping people.
Yeah.
And it just, You know,
Why she's a top producer, because she loves helping people.
Yeah, I mean it's
Period.
it's just one of those things, you know. And right now we're putting together our next event. It's going to be on October 30th, so it's going to be a Halloween thing. And our parties are always themed. It's either a masquerade ball of some sort or there's a theme, and we get people donating time, efforts, and everything. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And so right now I'm actually responsible in providing the venue, and we're in the process of talking to Minute Maid Park to actually see if they can provide their facilities, and obviously see how they will be able to partake in that. But it's October 30th. We are completely 100% volunteer, and what we're looking at doing is, if you're interested in getting participating, reach out to me. We meet practically run around every 2 weeks. We meet for about an hour and a half. We go in, do business, figure out the structure. Our goal is to do two things. Every volunteer that comes in, they have two jobs. One is for that the next time you come in, you're bringing two people first. Secondly, is that you make a commitment that at the date of the event, you're committing to inviting 10 individuals of your friends and family, of people who want to make an impact in this community, in the local community, to the event. That's the only responsibility we're asking for. Other than that, the rest of it is if you want to have a job and work on the event side, the marketing, or if not the infrastructure as far as logistics, you pick and choose.
So it's kind of an MLM for charity.
Completely.
I love it.
Completely.
I love it.
Yeah, because I know 10 people you don't know, and you know 10 people I don't know. You come together, we got 20 people. You put 40 people together, that's 400 individuals.
Well, you better
Simple as that.
definitely invite me, because
Absolutely.
I would love
You're
to.
officially invited.
Yay. Yay. Haha, you boys weren't. Just I. No, I'm kidding.
You know, we originally had our Rat Pack event for that 30. We might want to move to the
October
29th.
30th?
There you go.
Yeah. So
There you go.
we might want to readjust so we can attend both.
I'd love it.
I would love to
Jason,
come
Or we could do it together.
we are coming up on
There's
a
a thought.
hard break here at the bottom of the hour, so please tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and participate in
absolutely.
Fanatical Change.
So first off, you can go to fanaticalchange.org, look us up. We've been around for a long time. HEB, Kroger's, they've been great supporters. You can contact me directly at 832-754-7808. That is my personal cell. You can call me at any time. We'll get you situated. Or you can email me at jason@jasonjimenez.insurance.com.
Awesome. Well, we're up against this hard break, as I said, and we are going to be back with more Rebels with a Cause after a word from our sponsors.
The sailor said, quote, ain't that a hole in the boat? My head keeps spinning. I go to sleep and keep grinning. If this is just the beginning, my life is gonna be beautiful.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
I'm keeping an eye on her now. She's like,
right.
Mike's on.
Mike's on.
Yeah, she's
Sitting there
she's
watching
got her
her.
water gun squirting them. Squirt. No, I'm kidding.
Mike's on.
You know, over the break, we were as always talking and just kind of continuing the dialogue. And I had this thought. You know, Teresa was down here talking, and she was having the reaction that I see in people when you start talking about charities. Is that her mind is already working. She's used to being a producer and getting things done, and so consequently, when she saw a need, she starts connecting in her mind where these needs can be met. And I see that happen a lot, which is why I love what I'm passionate about is awareness, bringing people's attention to different charities of need, because what happens is not all charities speak to somebody. Right? You see a need and that type of thing, and you can relate and all that sort of thing, but you know, when you're a mom, as Teresa was talking about, and she has children, all that sort of thing, and you tell the story about the lady losing her children, that relates to her in a powerful way.
Absolutely.
And so there's different charities that speak to different people, and a lot of times it's just out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times folks they have the desire to make a difference. They just don't know where to start.
The story I was telling about also in the break was I can relate to both guys. With Richard, the Arrow Ministries, I help one of my best friends I grew up with, Christy Vick. She's now Christy Tennant. Her husband, Mark Tennant, founded this nonprofit Christian organization that helps foster kids. We're actually nationwide. And then listening to your story, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Montgomery County assistants, emergency assistants, they're the only food pantry that gives food for free. And when I had my last child 2 years ago, I was giving all my maternity clothes to the women's shelter.
Yeah.
And when I got there, there were two, I mean, gosh, they must have been 19, 20, two separate times these young girls came in with newborns, and they did not have enough money for formula. And it broke my heart. I started crying right then and there. Went to Walmart, bought all the formula, the powdered formula, off the shelf, because the lady was like, well, believe it or not, we've only got a can and a half of formula to donate. And she said, we are the only food pantry that gives it for free in the Montgomery County area. So every year I have a client appreciation pool party, and I ask everyone, Rob came, and Joe, you had a church obligation.
Yep.
I ask everyone to bring a can of powdered baby formula so that we can go and donate it. And it just, it's my job as a mom to help other mothers out. I mean, if I don't do that, I have to help other mothers.
And we were also talking on the break is that, there's needs 365 days a year. And I know a lot of people get motivated because they hear a lot of them on the radio and they're being asked to donate during Thanksgiving and Christmas. But it's 365 days a year that these needs are. And
we have to.
I think there's no greater volunteers than realtors.
Yeah.
And people in that industry, because they are used to they get very close to families, they get very close, and each family probably has causes and things like that. So we have a tendency to get involved with a lot of things, and there's a lot of little things you can do. And I'm just briefly going to talk about on a national basis, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services supports the Sunshine Kids.
You guys are amazing, both of you, and Chris. You all three. Rob, you do Sunshine. I mean, you guys wear your heart on your sleeve, and you you're about to tell us with Sunshine Kids. God bless you guys.
It's a little bit like the Make-A-Wish Foundation. These are kids with cancer who have going through these horrible ordeals with chemotherapy and things like that. And you saw it with your little brother, and that gives them a chance to have some. We got to Teresa again. Sorry. And then, but it gives them a break from the constant being prodded and poked and going through with the chemicals, and they get to go have a chance to go do something like a normal child. And so I started thinking about that, and then of course Joe kind of stepped on this, and I started doing MC is a mandatory education that realtors have to take to renew their license, and I thought I could give up my normal teaching fee and just had everybody make the checks to Sunshine Kids. Now I didn't make nearly as much as I want to, but we made $500 yesterday.
That's huge.
Or Thursday, I should say. And we had a good time, met some new agents, and they got it. So we got some probably more proponents of the people who will support the Sunshine. This is about, spreading the word.
Yeah.
It is huge, Rob, because I can tell you, my little brother being so young and going through that, with organizations like Sunshine Kid and the Astros would come in and sign baseballs and go in and try to lift the kids' spirits and help them. And again, oh my gosh, I'm totally relating to all of you guys. I can relate to that but yeah, it's just amazing.
And to talk about our co-host, Chris Kelso, he sat here and said, you know what? I'm going to do so much per, and he's a top producer for mortgage.
He's amazing too.
So he decided to give $100 for every transaction he does.
Every transaction.
And a new charity each month. He has a consistent charity, which I think he's going to call in at the end of the show. Last month it was Sunshine Kids. And then Joe says, well, you know what? I do a big event, and he's probably one of the largest real estate events every month, which is RPM.
Yep.
And so he started doing it, and he let me sit there last month with my little
bracelet.
I got my little fish bowl, and every time I walk in, people, I go, "You got $20?"
Yeah,
you got $20. No, you know what? It was so funny. People even asked me why. They just, oh, wait a second, okay.
Well, you didn't ask me.
You just grabbed
my purse and you started going through my wallet. You were like, "Hey, Teresa, let me hold your purse." I'm like, "Thanks, Rob. You're so nice."
But we raised about $400 or $500 that night.
That's awesome.
So these are really small gestures that if everyone went out and did $400 or $500 here and there, 30 days a month.
Well, Michelle Garza on my team does the Avon Breast Walk every year, and actually Chris Kelso or for breast cancer. Chris did 1 month, and oh my gosh, I think he a ton of money.
He does about 35 transactions a month. I think, something like
it
that,
was a ton. And so, yeah, he's always out there on Facebook going, what charity do you want me to donate to? I'll donate $100 of every transaction I do. And so,
imagine if everybody in the community did that, we would probably wipe out all the problems like that.
Be awesome.
But I don't think people realize how impactful they are. They say, well, I can only do this, and I only have one thing of formula. So that's one more than we didn't have before.
Yep.
And for me, it absolutely money is critical. I don't want to downplay that aspect of it. Something that I really wanted to bring out today was the whole idea of serving and being involved yourself and participating on a volunteer level as much as possible.
It's just as important as money.
Absolutely. A lot of times it's just manpower. A lot of these organizations, it's not necessarily money that's the issue. It's simply just the man hours involved in getting things done and making things happen. That's where there's a tremendous need. And on that level, it's easier to say, here's $25 or here's $20 or whatever else than it is to commit some time.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, from a life change perspective, from a fulfillment and enjoyment and enrichment of life, we were meant for it. We were meant to uplift, encourage those around us who are in need. Sure. That's what our spirit was designed for that.
It's interesting because on that point is the fact that at the root of everything is just if everybody did two things: listened and thought of others and not of themselves. Ugh. And to do that on a consistent basis is really, really hard.
It is. And
as a human being, because we always want to protect ourselves, protect the people we love, and then the world, right? And try to alter that, it's not, doesn't happen overnight.
Here's the I love to read and I love to study books, and I've been very much for the last couple of years into studying brain science and how the brain works and all that, because I'm passionate. My passion in life is to we have it summed up in our company mission statement. It's my personal mission statement: find the things that work, share what we find, and inspire action towards greatness. Uh-huh. That's my personal mission in life. And so as part of that, I have to study how the brain works in order to help people learn. All right. Yeah. And one of the things that I've really discovered here this year that has been huge for me, it's changed a lot of how I approach teaching and all this sort of thing, is that the goal has to be immensely doable. Your brain's reaction to whatever you're saying you want to do has to be, oh, I could do that. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, if it comes to good health and losing weight, it's not rocket science. We all know eat healthier, work out. It's not a some sort of a mystery formula, right? But when you start saying, well, I've got to go to the gym and I've got to spend an hour and a half each day, and I don't have the right shoes, and I got to go pick out the right shoes, and you start putting all these hurdles in the way, and that's what keeps you from doing it. So similarly with these charities, I touched on earlier, a lot of times people want to get involved. They like the idea of saying, I want to get out there and help a charity, but I don't know what charity to call. I don't know which one really, that I'm interested in, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, that's why I love the idea of this show, putting charities out there in front of folks and then giving them the opportunity. Look, your brain has to say, I could do that. Yeah. I could do that, right? Could you say, you know what, I'll give 30 minutes of my time this week. 30 minutes. I could do that. That's immensely doable. I could do that. Here's some great charities that you can support, right? That type of thing. I'm sure Richard could use 30 minutes of extra time of somebody's help on the weekend with Cornerstone and that ministry. I'm sure that your organization, Fanatical Change, could use somebody saying, hey, I'll give 30 minutes of my time to help out.
Absolutely.
To get something done. Sunshine Kids, same kind of deal. That's getting the person out there and getting them moving. I think it's critical.
I'd even like to ask whether anybody listening or even anybody in this room, there's that Liberty Mutual commercial. Somebody pick up a can, throw it in the trash. Somebody sees it, and then they say, you know what? Let me do something and just pass that on. It could be just one simple action that someone sees that could impact somebody else. Start with that, and then from there build it. Because social media has been around for years and years, even before Facebook came around. Period. The fact is now is that somebody was able to put it to where people can actually utilize it. Think about it. You've already connected two people. I have somebody for you on a company called Genesis Works for your kids.
Yeah, and Best Buddies too, which all these different
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just over here
Teresa's
crying.
an emotional basket case after this
Now,
show.
I'm telling
Celine, our new
you,
goal is going to
my
be, how can we
heart
get her to tear up and
Yeah.
My
snort
heart
at
is
the same
huge.
time?
Yeah.
That's a talent.
Rob, how can folks get a hold of Sunshine Kids? How can they get involved
they
in that?
they can call me, and I can have them in the right direction. It's you can reach me at 281-543-0527. Again, it's 281-543-0527. I'll be happy to have them in the right direction or put them to work.
Yes.
Or show them how they can do it. We have about 400 plus agents. We all are getting them involved in it, and they're starting to really kind of get it. We had Scott Mendel out in our Katie office actually won that Harley.
Oh, wow.
They gave it back to Sunshine Kids after he won it.
Wow.
And so, I mean, that's the kind of generosity we have. And in fact, he's actually said that he'll match every agent up to $40,000 for whatever our agents raise. So if we raise $40,000, he's going to match it.
Wow.
$40,000.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty awesome. So we've got some great agents out there who get it at a really deep level. We coming up against a break
We are
again?
totally already up against a
What do
break.
we have to pay for the show? I think Salem.
we
I think
do.
Salem Communications should just
Chip
donate
in.
the chip in. That'd be their charity event for the month. Let's chip into the Rat Pack.
We're charitable.
No, I'm
We
kidding.
will be right
Gonna get our water guns
after
out
a
again.
word from our sponsors.
Lies a body just oozing life. Can someone sneaking round a
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
Mics are on once again.
Once again, caught us off guard. I think Chris Kelso's on the line, calling in from Florida. Are you there, Chris?
Absolutely. How y'all doing this morning?
Doing great.
We are doing fantastic.
We've been saying great things about you.
My little Martian.
Your little Latin Martian.
My little Latin Martian.
Hi ho there. It's
So, Chris, we've been talking about our different charities that are near and dear to our hearts and stuff, and there's one, and that's a great segue. You heart to one that's near and dear to you. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Well, the one thing I will say, I've been listening, to the show all morning, and it's great to have such a great fill-in for the seat. By the way,
She's much prettier than you too. By the
so
way,
damn good.
I have to say, Chris, she does look better in a dress than you.
And on the
I
mic.
would imagine so. But no one can beat the elf outfit.
Yeah, I was going to say she probably would not look as good in the elf outfit as you do. I mean, that is uniquely your look.
But one of the things that's really neat, we're all in the real estate industry. We all, or services in that industry. And one of the things we've always spoken about is giving back. Giving back to something you have a passion for. In my case, I just have a passion for giving back. Period. Whether it be to the Sunshine Kids, whether it be to the Nancy Owens Memorial Foundation, whether it be to what Joe and I are doing this month as well. But one of the things that I have a huge passion for as well that got me really involved in charities is an organization called the It's My Heart organization. My daughter was born with congenital heart defect and was at Texas Children's Hospital for, open heart surgery and some and medical attention there. And it really opened my eyes to two organizations. Number one, I never knew what the Ronald McDonald House did. And I say that because the Ronald McDonald House before, when I used to go to McDonald's all the time, I used to see that little donation you could put in front that said, would you like to put a penny here, a penny there? And every once in a while I would do it, every once in a while I wouldn't. Nowadays, I don't go to a McDonald's without putting a lot of money into that Ronald McDonald House, because what that does is that actually assists individuals who are going through long-term care or even short-term care the opportunity to get out there and it gives them an opportunity to a little escape while they're at the hospital. Ronald McDonald House also gives them overnight stay for free. So it really provides a lot of amenities that I never knew about until I got involved or until my daughter obviously was in the hospital. And that goes in conjunction with another charity that's really dear to my heart out in Katy called the Cinco Charities organization. Cinco Charities actually built the Ballard House, which is another organization that allows individuals who are taking care of family members with long-term disabilities in the hospital to have a place to go and stay and live and eat and not be the expense that a lot of times it takes to be able to stay in a hotel or find a place to stay.
That is so
And so
cool.
those are two of them that are absolutely great. The third one is the It's My Heart organization. And It's My Heart is an organization focusing on CHD, which is congenital heart defects. And CHD allows us to continue to develop monies and research abilities to find out why individuals are born with congenital heart defect. And we also have a program in which we give baskets. We're always over at Texas Children's or Methodist or Memorial, the Children's Heart Centers. And we're giving out baskets, and we're giving out gifts and ideas and educational and pamphlets associated with what you have to do to get through this. We also do a walk to raise money for the awareness, and we also do a once-a-year family symposium in which individuals get together like myself and all the doctors over at Texas Children's, and we talk about the different mechanisms in reference to how they can improve, or the effect of positive thinking, or how to deal with the hospital situation. So it's very important. Those are three that are really, really, really close to me. And aside from all the other ones that we work with, obviously we talked about the Avon Walk a bit earlier. We talk about the Sunshine Kids with pediatric cancer. There's a lot of organizations, and if there's anything we could get across today would be is no matter what your passion is, and even if it's not your passion, donate, get out there and get involved with these organizations. Because let me tell you the one thing I've always said, and it's happened to me time and time again. The more you give back, the greater you get back. And
I absolutely agree with that.
Involved with this.
You know, we had touched on it earlier. I gave the analogy of the two C's in Scripture and all that sort of thing, and I've alluded to that it's what we're designed for. That one of the greatest, and this is known in the psychology field, one of the greatest cures for depression and loneliness is service.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
wine.
Rob. Yeah, no, it is.
So it's getting out there.
And my little Latin Martian.
Getting out there and getting involved. And you were just exempling that, Chris, and that you talked about you have a passion for service. So what happened was, because of your own family and struggles that y'all had to face, you had service shoved into your lap almost. But because you started experiencing the need and seeing it and becoming involved in it, the brain started getting its wiring focused on that fulfillment, and it becomes, I can't say like an addiction, but it becomes that sense of fulfillment. You want more of that. So you become more and more involved in charity because of the reward emotionally is huge. So
absolutely.
It's just getting people involved.
But what you see on other people's faces, Teresa mentioned this, and getting the milk for the ladies who couldn't afford it, or at least, the powder, was also when you see how individuals react back, the joy you give their lives, the little bit of comfort you give them when they're in their hospital or they've lost a little bit of that hope, you're able to go back and give a little bit of that, even if it's time, not necessarily money, time, those type of things, the give back you get is just so amazing. I mean, it really puts a bright spot inside of you, and wants you, as you mentioned, Joe, wants you to do more. It allows you to do more, and it gives so much more back.
Teresa is about to
explode on the end.
Explode right now because I literally was like sign languaging to the guys over here that it puts a light inside of you and it makes your aura shine. And you just said that, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, he's saying what I'm thinking.
That's her superpower.
It's our superpowers, my little Martian. No, but it's true. It's like when you let them see you through me, that Christian song, let God see him through me. I mean, I think that's what we're doing is we're doing God's work, and people see that, but it creates a light about you. And it draws people to you, and then you're able to share that bit of you with someone and, and make them smile and give them hope and, in their time of need.
Well, it only takes me looking at little, your daughter. She's beautiful and she's smart and stuff like that, and think about, wow, that's only made possible through research, development, things like that. Because, 30 years ago, we wouldn't be able to tell this story.
Right, and and that's what you just got to be saying there, Rob, is probably one of the most important factors as well. Is we all look at everything, but as you mentioned, 30 years ago, my daughter wouldn't have been with us. There wouldn't have been a solution for her. Wow. And nowadays there are, and that's all a result of individuals who are giving to research, giving to doctors, giving to these research organizations that are always coming up with new mechanisms and new technologies to save individuals. And so aside from what it does to you personally, the fact that we're giving life to other individuals and all these, whether it be cancer research, whether it be congenital heart defects, whether it be anything associated with what we go through, because we all know this. We all do know one thing, is that as our society continues to grow, there are new sicknesses that are going to be developed.
Yeah, new challenges.
We have to find a cure for all those.
Yeah. There's always going to be new challenges out there and stuff. And the thing about getting involved, and I'm starting to think about it, is it's very serious. But you know what? Every time I've ever done something, I've always had a great time. Met some amazing individuals. I mean, it just broadens my horizons every time I step out there. It's just amazing.
And you know what, Chris? You're helping Michelle Garza on my team out with her Avon breast cancer walk, raising the money that you did. She raised so much money, and there was another gal who is a breast cancer survivor, just beat it and wanted to do the walk but didn't have enough money. She gave her a portion of what you did to help her to be able to do the walk. So you not only, it's like what you did just umbrellaed out, just shot out.
So
that is awesome. And, and one of the things we tell everybody all the time is it doesn't take a lot to make a big difference. I mean, I tell everybody this all the time. It doesn't take hundreds of dollars. If you have $1, if you're listening today, if you've got $5 in your pocket, if you were going to go get a Starbucks, don't do that. Find a charity, find something that you can give to. Give your time. A lot of these organizations are lacking manpower. So even if it's giving time, giving a day, giving an afternoon, giving a weekend, it all counts.
Yeah. Chris, you're kind of a guest today, and we're kind of getting towards the end of the show, believe it or not. And what I'd like to ask is, what would you like people to take away today? And then Teresa's got a little saying that you have given us that she's going to.
The best saying for today is no matter how big or small it is, get involved, find a passion, or find an individual who has a passion that you want to work with. Get involved, give, whether it be time or money. Find something you can give to. Go to the Real Estate Rat Pack radio show website. You can also find all the organizations that we're involved with. And also what you do on a daily basis, make sure that you're always working with an individual who has that passion to give back. That would be my saying for the day, or more importantly, my
Your 2
what
cents?
I want everybody to leave with.
Your 2 cents. Well,
My 2 cents.
Every Saturday, I give you guys an inspirational quote to say. And today, our lovely Chris Kelso has sent me the quote from Dr. Seuss, and it's, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened."
That's a great quote.
That is a great quote.
That's
Well,
go ahead. I was going to say, Jason, if you have something you want to
jump in real quick,
like last thoughts that you want the listeners to hear.
It's just simply put for me is just today, just commit to something that you want to do that has nothing to do with you, about you. That's all I could say really today, is just make this world a better place.
Richard?
All I want to say is thank you very much for the time here, but I think the best thing that I got out of this is there's a lot of people in our city giving back, and the more people that do, the more we can stop the negative things and horrible things that happen in our society today. Step up and get involved.
I think that's the reoccurring theme today, and I really hope that that's what people take away from today. That's really what I had wanted to accomplish with the show, was to put some good charities out there in front of the listening audience and tell them to get involved. For our real estate community that is out there, Chris also supports with me each month our Real Estate Professionals Mixer. For real estate community, June 19th, come out to that. We're supporting the Women's House. We're going to have them on next week. Until next week, we are out. Just tune in next week, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So tune in to the